idea. You really were. Bye-bye. Now, do you know, I'm going to be absolutely honest with you now. Over the last year, I must have spent every week, out of 7 days, 4 of them I spent on British Rail going towards my work, hither and thither as you do up and down the countryside. High points, well, I remember the buffet steward who I didn't ask him, he carried 2 very heavy cases all the way across Euston. I tried to give him a tip, mortified. Then there was the time I left my handbag on Oxford Station and they didn't recognise me from the television. Don't be so cynical. Could not have been nicer. Now, those are high points, but there is, well, those wonderful commentaries that the guards give, daily service, which I think British Rail is really getting right. BR, of course, isn't just about rolling stock, it's about people. Your passengers are people after all, and you, the staff. Now, what can you contribute to BR? And what can BR give to you? And that's what this is all about. Plans and suggestions for improving British Rail don't just come from the top. Oh no, every year British Rail receives hundreds of suggestions from the staff through your own staff suggestions scheme. And this is the good bit, if your idea is one that's adopted and actually put into practice, you could make some money out of it. That can't be bad, can it? So I'm really looking forward to finding out more about these prize-winning ideas. Gordon Connolly, what do you do for British Rail?
I'm an area engineer at Wigan.
What about all this mucking around in the boat then?
Well, I've enjoyed boating since I was a lad and probably spent all my spare money on it. But last year, of course, winning some money from British Rail allowed me to spend a little bit more on 1 or 2 bits and pieces that I wouldn't otherwise have had. Satellite navigator, hydraulic steering, a few other bits and pieces.
Now, you very coyly said won a little bit of money from British Rail. May I ask you how much you did win?
It was £15,000 actually.
No, the casual way, he says £15,000. Gordon, nobody, even British Rail, gives away something for nothing. You had an idea. Tell us about that.
Yes, I had an idea, an alternative method of installing overhead line mast foundations. The traditional method was to dig a hole and fill it full of concrete and go away and wait for the concrete to go up. My idea suggested bringing in a ready-made foundation and vibrating it into the ground very quickly. It saved a lot of time and a lot of money.
But where did you get the idea from? Because you're not a mast director, are you?
No, I'm an electrical engineer, but looking at my colleagues, digging holes, and then another colleague would come along and fill the same hole in. It seemed to be the wrong way of going about it. So I thought the best and most sensible way would be to devise a method of holding the mast up in the air without actually having to dig a hole, and that's what my idea does.
And do you think it'll be sold abroad?
Well, we're in the business of selling railway electrification around the world, and there's no reason why it shouldn't be used anywhere.
Just tell me one other thing. When you saw your idea actually being made, manufactured, and actually being used, what did you feel?
I felt a great deal of satisfaction because it had taken me some time to get there, from the concept to the finished product, and watching it go in was super.
Gordon, thank you. You're not going into the bank, are you?
No, I shall make sure I don't do that.
Thanks very much. All winning line suggestion forms from all over Britain eventually end up in that building there, in York. And I thought you might be interested to find out actually what happens to them. Now, there is one thing that I want to say that's very, very important. Your ideas don't have to be as technical as Gordon's amazing transformation of a pile driver. Certainly not. Many of the ideas that British Rail receive are easy and simple, like this very good one from John Suman. He's a senior railman from Dartford. John noticed something pretty basic, that trousers wear out before belts. Yet every time he'd been issued with 2 pairs of uniform trousers, he'd collected a new leather belt. So John simply suggested issuing a new belt only once every 3 years. And already that simple idea, tightening the belt you might say, has saved British Rail over £12,000. And it's earned John Suman the prize of £1,250. Your idea could mean more safety for staff, like the chainsaw testing frame developed by Dave Elliott of Doncaster. Or it could be a response to the times that we're living in, like the vandal-proof public address system for local trains, suggested by Len Carnham of East Ham. Oh, that's a good idea. Anyway, all your suggestion forms, they end up being put into the computer here by Andrew Wood's team. And do you know, they actually guarantee
An acknowledgement by return.
the efficiency of this department is amazing. The nice thing is, when you have an acknowledgement, you do at least know that your idea has been received. But of course, what happens next? Well, let's go and ask Andrew Wood.
Whether the idea is received on an entry form or whether it comes on the answer phone, either myself or the scheme coordination officer read it. We decide which expert in a department would be best to evaluate that idea.
Yes, because I suppose it's a wide range of ideas, isn't it?
Yes, ideas come in on many things. There's various aspects of engineering, but in addition we have things on uniform clothing, cleaning, energy,
Timetables?
safety, timetables, yes,
Really?
quality of service.
But the awards must be very good, because I believe you've had national press coverage, haven't you, and the television?
Yes, we pay very good awards, and we also have a lot of very good ideas, and that's why we've been shortlisted in the BBC Ideas Unlimited programme, both in 1987 and 1988. And you've met Gordon Connolly earlier, who was one of our finalists.
Of course. Of course, evaluating some ideas can take longer. How do you prove that a locomotive engine runs better, or more economically for that matter, thanks to a suggestion, except by trying it for, say, 6 months? But if your idea is good enough to test, you'll be paid an interim award until the final evaluation is made. Then, if it is a winner, you'll probably collect more. Did you know a single suggestion for winning lines can collect as much as £25,000? And if it's an idea that's obviously worthwhile, you'll be paid immediately. And it's much quicker than you think, with an average of 1 month from suggestion to check. An award of under £1,000 will be made locally. But if your idea is worth more, you'll be invited to London to receive your prize money from David Rayner. John Grassick, a workshop supervisor from Edinburgh, suggested a faster, safer way of fixing headrests for standard class seats. Good for British Rail and good for the passengers. While Simon Hurst, a relief clerical officer from Leeds, put older passengers first by suggesting a new wallet for senior citizen rail cards. It simply keeps tickets alongside rail cards, saving time for the guard and cutting out the worry of losing a vital ticket for the senior citizen. So the simplest idea to the most complicated, they can all become winning lines. Now, I must admit, I've never given a lot of thought to cleaning railway carriages. In fact, between you and me, cleaning Kennedy Towers is quite enough. But even I know that feet on seats are bad news. Yet, how does a carriage cleaner clean the ceiling of these new Sprinter diesels when there are seats everywhere? Well, he's managing very nicely, thank you. Or rather, thanks to this clever ladder, which fits right over the seat. It was a winning line idea from Dennis Coop, a performance inspector at York. So Dennis, how big a problem was it?
Well, it was a problem as much as the cleaners just could not reach certain parts of the ceiling area or the luggage racks.
But you're not an inventor.
No.
So what happened?
Well, I knew there was a real problem, and we didn't have any suitable equipment or step ladders, and the only way to get a pair of steps between the seats was to bend it, so to speak, and that's where I got the idea from, was if not bend the steps, make something that followed the contour of the seat.
So you went home and literally designed
a few
one?
pieces of scrap wood and knocked the thing together and tried it in a train. It seemed to be all right, and showed it to my boss and said, can we get someone interested in this, because we have a problem and we can't get the job done. I think this will help us out.
Well, you've got it done like this, and I know it's being tried out. We'll have to shout because the train's going off there. What did you feel like when you first saw it in action?
I was quite pleased, actually, because I thought, you know, at last we can actually get the job done. And that seems to do the trick.
And what about your prize money?
Well, I've had a token payment, but because this thing is being assessed on other regions, I've got to wait, but I'm sure I will be pleasantly surprised.
You'll be able to take me out to supper.
Certainly.
Oh, you little devil. Dennis, thank you very much
Thank you,
indeed.
Sarah.
And of course, because of Dennis and his invention here, passengers like me have cleaner trains, and the cleaners have fewer strains. So, with a little bit of imagination, you come up with one of the winning ideas. Well, the chances are you'd come down here to London to the British Railways board and meet David Rayner, Joint Managing Director, Railways. Well, David, cynics amongst the staff might just say, well, management are paid to have the ideas, why rely on us?
Well, of course, we do have a lot of managerial ideas, but we have an enormous workforce, 140,000 people. They're in daily contact with the industry, and I cannot for the life of me believe that management are the only people who have ideas. Of course they don't. What we've got to do is we've got to comb the system for all those good ideas.
But they might equally then say, well, oh, come on, it's just a cost-cutting exercise, something British Rail's very famous for.
No, it's not at all a cost-cutting exercise. It is that ideas tend to generate near to where things happen. Sure, we're looking for cost-cutting ideas, and they're as valid as good marketing ideas, as good customer service ideas, whatever ideas they are. So no, it isn't a cost-cutting theme at all, Sarah.
So then why is this scheme very important to British Rail?
It is important because we need to be a responsive industry in terms of the customer, in terms of cost, and in terms of marketing. We are, as an industry, very diverse. We are near to our customer. Therefore, we need to be close to those of our workforce who come up with ideas. We live on ideas. That is the whole stuff of industry.
Well, let's come to apathy. Somebody maybe who's been with British Rail a long time, they've seen it all before, they've got the T-shirt, they've read the book. Why should they become involved?
Well, I pick up your word apathy. Apathy can be rife in the workforce. I don't think for a moment it is rife. I think where you can accuse us is that apathy has been rife within this scheme. It's a very old scheme. We were one of the first into a staff suggestion scheme, I think, way back in 1907. I personally believe that the scheme had run down. It was, in that sense, had more than a measure of apathy. Now, we're reforming the scheme. We're making the administration of it very professional. We're going to be quite clear that we shall go through to the people that can judge good ideas in whatever department to give a quick and a balanced response. And I hope we shall be able to say to all our workforce, if you have a good idea, for goodness sake, present it. We'll give you an honest response quickly. And if it is a good idea, we'll apply it and we'll give you a payback.
Now, just say that I've put a lot of time into this. I've put perhaps a little bit of money to develop my idea. Can you almost promise me it's not going to end up in somebody's in-tray?
Not if I can help it. We've said that the basis of communication here on these ideas is the telephone. That's primarily to get speed of communication and to get persuasion and the right kind of emphasis. Where there are complex ideas, clearly they've got to go on paper, clearly they've got to be looked at. But I'm quite determined that the people we've selected to run this scheme are not themselves bureaucratically inclined, and I'm quite determined this thing does not come to a stand because it's full of paperwork in the pipeline. No, anything but. And all I would say to the people who are watching this video, for goodness sake, try it, put your ideas in, and you watch us respond.
Good for you. Very, very positive. I think it's a great scheme, and we've heard some wonderful things in this programme, and I know I don't work for British Rail. I'm quite excited by it. Maybe I shall join.
Well, that's perhaps the suggestion we ought to pick up first, Sarah.
OK, David, thank you very much. Well, as he said, all ideas are welcome, and of course there's no limit as to how many you can send in. And just think what a difference a good idea or two could make to put your home or your hobby or holidays on new winning lines. And remember, that top payout is £25,000. You know, the thing about the Winning Lines scheme is that these ideas, they're not coming from professors in Oxford or Cambridge, they're actually coming from you. You're looking at your work, your colleagues' work, and saying, I think we could do this differently. And that's what's so marvellous about it. Everyone benefits. BR benefits. As a passenger, I benefit, of course. I'm paying and I want quality service. You certainly benefit financially, as you've been hearing. And you know, Britain actually benefits as well. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, she's gone over the top. But I was on a train from Edinburgh to London the other day, and there were some Americans chatting up the garden saying, gee, your railroad's absolutely great. And it's better that they say BR is great than BR is lousy, isn't it? So, you're doing your job, you're looking at your colleagues. If you think, well, I think we can change this a bit, please let's hear from you. We're looking forward to those forms coming in. You never know your luck. Next year, could be you swanning around in the Mediterranean on your yacht.
You can obtain one of the special submission forms from your staff office, or, using plain paper, send your idea to On Winning Lines, room M19, Main HQ, York, using the internal post. Or you could phone your idea to the answer phone by dialing 032 3989 on internal lines. If you need help with submitting your idea, phone any of the team and they'll be pleased to help you. Their number is 032 2834.